right.
Hey, everybody, it's Monday night.
Hola, 5 de mayo. ¿Cómo estás? Buenos noches. Welcome to the Sketchy Live. What's going on, everybody? It's the Sketchy Live Monday, the podcast.
Yes.
I'm John Jalopy. With me, as always, my beautiful wife, Eddie B, and special guest, Art Smith, is hanging out with us in the house.
He is not even a special guest anymore. He's a
That's
regular
true.
now.
Yeah,
He's a regular
he is
now.
a regular. We've had multiples with Art on, and then a debacle of audio and everything. But we can't wait.
Man.
We're going to talk about a few things that we were trying to talk about that night.
Yes.
The fateful night of trying to do something without Eddie B.
Man.
Fell
But
apart.
I'm here to keep
Make
the
sure it all
linchpin in place.
But one of the other big topics that we're going to talk about tonight is a little bit about drag racing, because Art is a huge drag racing fan, been one since he was a little kid. And so we're going to kind of hit some of those topics as well. Lots to talk about tonight on Sketchy Live. It is Cinco de Mayo, so happy Mexican Independence Day. I believe that's what it's for.
I'm guessing.
Everybody goes, it's a reason to drink tacos and eat
Margarita.
modelos. Anyways, I'm jealous actually that we're not doing a Cinco de Mayo fun. But hey, anyways, so hang out. We're so glad that you're here. Sketchy Live Mondays starts
Right now.
I really wish that faded in a little better.
I know.
If I had a pet peeve about
our
our intro, it's always I just wish it like faded in. I wish I could change that. But anyways, hey, Sketchy Live Monday, the podcast.
Yes.
I am Johnny Jalopy, hot rod artist, and other things sometimes, but mostly hot rod artist. With me, my beautiful wife, Eddie B, the linchpin that holds it all together. And again, as I stated at the beginning, the top of the start, we got our good buddy Art Smith is here.
Yes.
It's weird to say your last name. It's Art. That's all it's Art. And so happy that you agreed to come hang out
short
with us.
Notice.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing.
I was told I was asked, hey, would you mind coming on the podcast? I was like, man, I don't want to break your show.
Oh man, yeah.
You know what I mean? But
here he is, nonetheless.
And again, the super big reason why is when we get an opportunity to hang out and talk and stuff, the conversations and the topics are always amazingly fun to talk about, nostalgic things, and your childhood, my childhood. We came from two different worlds as far as
both sides of the country,
very different.
Across,
yep. And then you've experienced one coast and then moved kind of to a rural area and stuff. And
absolutely,
yeah. So like going from like almost kind of pseudo city kid to country kid real quick, and then I came from it's kind of farmish, ranchish town place into Florida, and then of course Eddie B, surf bum her whole life, hanging out on the boardwalk with surfers and
wherever
stuff.
There was a beach. Well, unless you count the 12 years I was in Tucson, because
that's true. Yeah. But I mean, we're talking about like as a kid, not so much when you were an adult. And then you went to Hawaii, and Anyway, weren't you traveling with the band the Queen at one time?
Awesome.
No, you sure?
Yeah.
I've seen pictures, and I swear you were with Freddie Mercury at one point.
Nope.
No? Okay.
No. All right. Let me tell you who's on before we dive in, because we've got a lot to cover tonight.
We do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got some cool stuff. Art is the man of stories.
He's the best.
He brought props.
He brought props.
Yeah, I'm excited. He always brings
I
props.
just bought some stuff just in case. You know what I mean?
Just in case.
You never know how to talk where the topic goes. And
right.
I can't wait to.
He's got some cool side. Can't wait to hear about it.
Find out about it. Yeah.
So we've got Lizzie Daughtry, Elizabeth Handmade Jewelry and Crafts tuning in.
Up, Lizzie?
Hello, everyone in the chat. Hello to my two favorite peeps of the week.
Sam Metro.
What's shaking, y'all? Olaf from Claremont, Florida.
This is a guy, Art. I would love for you to meet Sam. He's a super cool dude and a super hot rod guy, and he is out of Claremont. And I think, you guys need to talk and meet at some
We'll
point.
have to drag Art up to one of the car shows.
You would dig that.
Frank Pupello, our buddy here, local too. Sketchy
Pupello,
Live.
what's up?
The best thing to happen to Monday.
Hey man, congrats on your wins over there at the RC track, dude. And repping the John Jalopy logos. We appreciate you.
The RC track.
Yeah, he races RC cars.
Remote control.
Saturday nights, man. He's invited us to come every single. Frank, where's the track at?
Send us the deets. Yeah, we might got somebody over here interested.
I still got my original Tyco car.
Dude, we're talking like
70.
I can't remember the scale.
They're probably
gas powered.
They're a little bit bigger.
So
yeah.
I'm not.
You'd get ran over with your little guy.
Well, the little Tyco cars that we used to have going all through the house, in the kitchen, in the living room.
Yeah.
Yep. No, these are a whole different breed of remote control.
Pretty neat.
Wesley Wilkerson wants to know if Johnny's drawn tonight. We are not tonight.
Wesley?
We've got a podcast going on tonight, Wes.
Another guy would love for you to meet, Art. Another dude I just recently connected with. He's been on Sketchy and different things.
Awesome.
But has a hot rod shop nearby. And it would be cool to meet that dude as well.
Yeah. We've got Mike Hicks from Troy, Missouri.
What
Welcome.
is up, Mike Hicks? We miss you, buddy.
Hoping to see Mike Hicks in another couple months if we can make it out to the Show Me Lowbrow Art Show.
Yeah.
Happening in Missouri.
Rob
Earl, sweet. It's Tuesday lunch, and I got on the YouTube Sketchy Bunch. Tuning in from the Hunter Valley, Australia, on an absolute perfect mid to late autumn day, sunny and 85 degrees.
Rob Earl.
Finally, we're having some similar.
He comes from the land down under.
And we've got Mary and Dan Evans
Rob.
checking in.
What's up, Mary and Dan?
Love you guys.
Hope you're feeling better.
Sam Metro said he's looking forward to meeting you, Art.
Absolutely, man. Me too.
So that has caught us up on comments for the moment. So anyone else joining us, please check in. Let me know where you're tuning in from. But let's dive in.
So the really cool thing is, and I think we've talked about this before, I went to a drag race local at Gainesville with another fella I think I met him at a car show, Volkswagen stuff.
Okay.
And I went with him and his son, and it was like my first experience. And I was like, wow, this is really cool.
What year was that, do you think?
I forget. It was a year later.
Maybe.
I want to say like a year later, you and I went.
Really?
And it was, or maybe it was 2 years later, but it was very off the piggyback of going with him. Totally different experience going with somebody who's not that he wasn't a fan, because he was a pretty big fan. They go to that all the time, but not the vast knowledge of drag racing. And the cool thing was, you were like, hey man, let's go over here. And I'm like, where are we going? Oh, the big trucks are over here. You're like, no, let's go back to the back. Because this is where a
sportsman race.
Here's where the dudes that really are doing it come from. And you're like naming off names of like, oh, I remember this guy would here. And there was we bumped into, you said he was like this older, and he was an older guy at the time too. And he, I think he was still competing. Did he have a rail, or? I swear he did, but he was like low budget. He was a low budget guy. Like, that
was Chris Caramasini's.
Is that who that was? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was really cool.
He had the single, not a huge trailer.
No, it was it was that you could tell he barely had two tires in there, in a Craftsman toolbox, and
the old school.
Yeah, you were like, this guy, here's he don't got the money like these other guys. He's showing up, but he's still holding his own at times.
Yeah, he's competing, man.
Yeah, but he's definitely doesn't have the budget that these other. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. But you knew him, and you're like, I remember this guy. And then you were like, did you see him when you were a kid? I think, did you say, or younger?
Dude, those guys, man, you know, we're talking like 1972, 73, 74 up in Englishtown in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Those guys were racing up there, you know, Wednesday night match races. We'd hear the cars crank up and we'd get on our bicycles, man, and we'll like book it down there. Knowing we got to go to school the next morning and we just missed the bus and everything. That's back when getting whippings were prevalent.
Yeah.
If you don't get home in time,
the street lights were on and you better be home. Yeah.
You know, but back then though, we'll sneak into the place. You know what I mean?
Right. And so how old were you then? Like maybe 8, 10,
7,
really
8 years old, somewhere in there.
Wow.
Pop that thing up a little.
7 to 8 years
there
old.
You go.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
There
okay.
You go.
I appreciate that. Yeah, man, but I was trying to come up with a topic to think about, and it's like you think about the safety of the way racing used to be to how it is now.
Right.
Nobody thought about safety.
No.
When you really think about it, because they were setting the cars on fire on purpose, man.
Right. Yeah.
Like pouring down the liquid, setting it on fire.
So the tires would grab it
out of the fire to get the tires super hot.
Well, the only one that seemed to be sort of interested in safety was Don Garlitz, because he was from what I understand, you know, front engine drag race rails, or the top fuel cars were all front engine, and he was the guy that was like, after like a big wreck where the thing folded in half in front of him, he's like, let me throw that motor behind me, that way if something goes wrong, you know, it's behind me.
Well, the thing that I'm saying is, you know, I'm not an engineer, and I was just a kid. But when you first get exposed to the racing, man, and you see, and it's like, man, somebody's gonna drive that thing.
Yeah.
You know, because the people were doing welding and everything at home,
right,
in the garage, man. You didn't take it to a shop.
Dude, here's the thing,
and the stuff is just sketchy as all get out, man. It's like, man, you're going 200 miles an hour in this mess. You know what I mean?
Every time, the first time I got to see an actual nostalgic, you know, top fuel car, or they weren't top fuel at the time, but they were the rails,
right?
And to see that the guy was literally the rear axle was basically where your business
your
is,
jewels are at,
your personal items, your personal treasures. You'd be basically sitting on the big pumpkin, and it was giant. And then the transmission was like there was a small little drive shaft, and then the transmission were like, and all I could think of to myself is,
if something lets go.
Something lets go. That is not where I want to. And I've heard that they would sit on like flak jackets or different things like that, but still, how's that going to stop?
That ain't going to help.
You know, big giant pinion thing just blowing through that deal and ripping your whole business.
Back then, you just wearing blue jeans, man.
Right.
It was good cotton thread, but it's not stopping shrapnel.
Yeah, they might have been wearing their overalls that they had probably got from the service.
They're tough skins.
Yeah, tough.
Dungarees,
but
corduroy.
Unbelievably crazy how, when you look at those older, you look at any even as you go into the funny cars or the era or the gassers or whatever, where you looked at them and the cages were welded, and you're looking at some of those welds and you're going, I'm not good at welding. Damn.
Well, the thing about it is also, man, you're sitting in there, but you're really not buckled in because the thing is way away from you. You're not sitting in there tight. You know what I mean? You're just inside of the thing, and if it stopped, you're coming up out of there.
Right.
You know what I mean? With a lap belt on.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And many wrecks, when you go back and you look at like the intro to the Wide World of Sports, and you'd see
thrill of
big giant explosions, and I don't
thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
And that
was the skier.
Yeah.
Well, that one was bad
this
too.
Dude get messed up every time the show comes on. Is he alive or not?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But you know, dudes, it's amazing, and now how fast the cars are going, and the distances have been changed, and there's a lot of safety involved in it. But it's still
one other thing I wanted to touch on, man. The first time when I went to Atlanta's drag strip, that was back in like, as soon as it was still an IHR racetrack. And what was amazing is, like, we're standing right here. This is the side of the drag strip, and the cars are right down here. You're looking down at the cars. They're like right 5 feet off from you. If you look at some old pictures of the track, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And it's like, man, we're sitting right on top of this thing going by, and it had no explosion-proof straps on the engine or nothing. I mean, the spark plugs was come out, man, it'll whiz right by your head.
Yeah.
You know, all that. Man, is all of a sudden things started happening, and then people were like, all right, we need insurance. And then insurance got out of hand. And you look at a lot of the old footage, man, there were no guardrails.
No.
It was just wide open dirt.
No.
And if you wrecked, you just went all out across there as far as you can stop flipping.
Well, and then you'd see cars tumble over, and then you'd see a random giant tire go launching into the crowd. You're like, oh, someone got a souvenir.
Just when you took me to the drag races the one time, I think I only went with you one time.
Yeah, we need to go back.
And we were walking around like the pit area, and somebody would start up a car.
Yeah.
I was literally going to pass out from the gas smell.
Nitro.
I don't know how people are around it. I guess, do you develop a tolerance for it? Because
you gotta ask them guys. I can't. I mean,
have you smelled it? Like,
yeah,
and
you're about to get knocked out, man. I mean, if you get a good whiff of it,
okay,
man,
so it's not just me. I thought I was just being.
That's the initiation.
You're not wimpy or nothing. It's just I started not, just hold my breath.
Yeah.
So I can get good footage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden I started bringing my full face respirator with me.
And a lot of people do.
And
you can tell the pros.
Put the thing on, and everybody clear out.
That
I just wait for them. They move out, then I go in close.
Yeah.
Because they're up out of there. You know what I mean?
Which, not to mention, generally, if you're paying attention, every single crew member has got a respirator on.
Yeah.
And you got these guys with their shirt off and 46 buds under their belt, and they're like, "Dad gum, and we're gonna suck some nitro tonight."
Yeah. You actually forced me.
Like, yeah, well, that's the initiation. You got to stand there.
He said, "You stand here. They're going to start the car," and I'm like,
"Okay."
Well,
so the part that's cool is they first started up, and you hear blah, 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 right. And everybody gets in close because they're only running it on gasoline, and then they flick the switch and they go to nitro.
Like, oh hell no!
And then,
I'm out of here.
Yeah, that burns your eyes and your lungs and your everything. It's the best. But as we were talking, for the money, it's still, I think, one of the best fan friendly.
It's thrilling
where you can get that close to the cars.
Yeah.
Well,
another sport you can't, but you have to spend extra money to do it.
Yeah.
My take on it, man, was when I was young, I always was intrigued by an engine block that's so small, can make that much power, man.
Right.
It's like it's sort of like impossible, man. This thing is making this much power off of you see the block by itself, man. It's just a 500 cubic inch,
right?
A small block,
right?
You know what I mean? It's not a big block. You know what I mean? But once you bolt all that stuff on there, things are gonna happen. It can go wrong fast.
Yeah.
One part fails and the whole thing just splits in half.
And again, when you look at this, looking at this is what is this? What year is this from?
This right here is a Eddie Hill model before he retired. Might be 92.
So even if we took this in comparison to current design and tech is so different. Even the front and every guy is, they've done different front wheel tries and different rear configurations and wings.
You can't try anything. They shut the door on trying different things. They got a rule book, man, and it's front to back, man. This is the specs, and that's all. You're not modifying nothing.
Which what do you think of that? I mean, does that take away from
you see that
ingenuity?
It says stock sucks,
right?
I mean, drag racing, man, was like whatever you bring in there, man, you're gonna try something different.
Right.
The one thing that I regret, man, is I've never seen it, and I wish I had been able to see it. Was that McGee quad cam? It's an engine. It was the McGee brothers. They built this engine, man. It had 4 cams in it.
Really?
2 on each cylinder, on top of the cylinders, man. And that thing was a monster.
Huh.
They outlawed it before they started running the thing good, because the one guy that started letting it rip, I forget who the guy was, but it was out west. But you know, man, they took it off the market. They say, look, you're not running this thing.
Huh.
You know, I know it had to be some controversy
for safety reasons, or because it would beat
No.
everybody
It would-
else.
if that thing
It's gonna
had
dominate.
the potential to like make everybody else just not come to the race,
Right.
man,
Gotcha.
because it was like a quad cam nitro motor. I mean, just think about it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What's the thought behind the long nose design on this thing?
Well,
It was for
Because I've only
It
ever
was
seen them
for-
pop up.
it
like,
was for ET, but the stability for it to be long enough, if it comes up without
Yeah.
a wheelie bar, you want it to be stable,
Right.
for 60-foot time.
and it's
Mhm.
cutting through the air better than if it's shorter.
Well,
and
there
that
has been
too.
some shorter, like the funny cars are shorter,
Right.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
They,
but
they
for
have been
top
some
fuel.
short, like there's one guy, he used to drive this dragster called a Gunite Express. I forget what his name was, but it was a little short top fueler, man. It wouldn't run the numbers because it would spin all the way to about probably 600 feet. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It was hard to get a grip on it. And then the Bog brothers, they had an alcohol car, and them guys were tough. And it had a wing on the back, but it was a funny car with a wing, and they competed in top fuel, you know, and they couldn't run the numbers either,
Right.
you know, because this car style had the advantage,
Right.
you know, from start to finish.
I think if you look at it in design, because even if you take that and you look at the Bonneville salt flats, most
Right.
of all your cars that are going for top speeds,
They're long cars.
they're way
Longer.
long.
Yeah,
They're like they're
streamliners.
basically taking that same concept, lengthening the car, making it as close to a bullet as
You have to
possible.
make it hold up an ink pen.
Yeah.
You know, it's a modified ink pen with
Right.
wheels on it.
Yeah.
You know, the length.
So this is considered a traditional.
Well, this is what's standard now. I don't think
Yeah.
this design is ever going to change, but you know,
Who knows?
there's no ingenuity no more. You
Yeah,
can't
who knows?
make nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you say, it originated in your garage. And listen, I'm not a throwback drag racer. I just was attending races when I was a kid, and I
Right.
saw the evolution.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what's history about the thing, is that when you see something with your own eyes for over all these years, you can talk about it because
Right.
you saw it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not like,
it's come along. It's come along. I mean, all you got to do is go to Don Garlett's
well, yeah, you go up
museum and
there.
you look at all the different varieties just in the category of even just top fuel, the changes and tries of different stuff. And then you go into funny car, and then you go into, you know, modifieds, which basically is almost kind of the where gassers kind of left away. And it was the combination between funny car and what you would call like street stock now, or what would you consider? Because it's like what old gassers became. Is it funny car, you think, or
I think they call that competition eliminator, where
Okay.
you can have like different style bodies and
Right.
stuff, and they have an index where you can run your number, but you got to be within. They sort of like stagger the tree so you can
right,
have a chance at winning,
right?
you know, but you got to run consistent numbers.
So there's been some changes, and if you go back and you look at the original, like the rails when those started happening, it was just guys doing this, like Art said, trying to get as much weight off the car,
Yeah.
making tube chassis and different things, and putting the motor in, sitting basically on an engine and some rails,
So it's
Which is
supposed to
why
be
it
as
became
light
the
as possible.
as light as they could.
Yeah,
just
you
to-
make minimum weight.
Yep.
That's why you go to the scales
And then-
fuel samples.
and then
Uh,
trying to get as much weight to the back of the tires where you're going to get grip and stuff. So it's interesting.
What
how it
used to
all is,
get me, man, is people say, man, they're tearing such and such down over there right now at the tech department. And I'll get out of there, go take a look, see what's going on when
Yeah.
they tear you down. It's like, dude, they tear you down, you know, check whatever, somebody has a problem, your competitor, blow the whistle, and they say, hey, he's over there doing it, and they go check it out, man. You get tore down right there on the spot. You know, you got no way to try to like hide anything.
right.
But I don't know. I'm not gonna make any controversy, man. But you know, some people were saying
nobody from NHRA is probably listening to our podcast,
nitrous,
so we're good.
Some hidden nitrous and some stuff, man. It's like, man, there's no way he's beating us, man. You know, running this pro stock car, man, and it's like he's getting us at the finish line every time in the last 20 feet.
Yeah.
So there's just that one little burst of Nas there, right there, and then all of a sudden, that whole racing team got demolished. You know, there was I ain't know.
They were exposed.
Yeah. I hear you.
They were exposed.
They got a break in and destroyed parts and everything, and they were gone. You know what I mean? And it's like, but like I said, it's history.
And what are very competitive.
What are these other cars you have here? What's the one underneath? That one says dragster diecast replica.
Well, I think this is the Gary Selsey car. These were like racing champions put these things on. They numbered each one of them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So these are collector in the box.
Yeah. And this one over here.
Maybe you might have to lift that one up. Yeah.
This right here is the Mike Dunn New York Yankees car.
Nice.
He used to drive for Darryl Gwynn. And yeah, it's just but this guy right here, Eddie Hill, man, that drove this Pennzoil, his car was yellow.
Yeah, okay. I remember who that he did it till he was pretty old.
He was old when he started.
The white hair.
Yeah.
Eddie Hill.
Man, that dude, man, the thing about it is back then people knew is like, man, the first thing we'll do, man, we'll go through there and see whose trailer is there. And you'd be like, man, they're getting ready. You know, they run the number. All these people know who was tough. You know what I mean? You come in there, you're not playing games, you're not making friends, you're in there to like break people's back, man. Run low ET.
Cutthroat.
Yeah, you coming in there to sweep the place. You know, and that's what Don Prudhomme was like that. Man. He's like, man, I'm coming in here, man. I'm gonna set low ET, win the whole thing on Sunday, and take all the money and get out of here.
Right.
You know, and that's what ticked a lot of people off. You got to beat the guy.
Yeah.
And that was the deal, man. And it's like, you know, when you find a combination, man, it was working. There was nothing you could do about it. You had to go do homework.
And these were the days where you'd have in different states and stuff, Itty B, they'd be running drag race, you know, so you'd have guys that were hauling ass from one state just to get to, because the purse over in this race was much higher than the one that was in between. They could stay home and they could maybe race an easy thing, you know, but they're like, oh, but you know how much money they're giving away over there, and so and so's gonna be there. Who says they got the fastest?
That's how they made their living.
They got the fastest car. Shit, I'm gonna come down here.
Match racing, other than go to the real drag race because the money was in the purse. You went for the cash.
Because now it's more like it's almost kind of like NASCAR. It's a set. Almost, you know, you got the West Coast versions and then the East. The
top 10, the winner gets this, all broken down. If you qualify, everybody's going to get some kind of bank. You know what I mean? But if you don't qualify, you're heading up out of there. But your sponsoring ain't happy. They want to see you run on Sunday, man. Make laps with this stuff on the side of your car.
Right.
So when you were at Englishtown, because I know they run other types of races there, so they were doing drags back then. And then did you go to any of the other races? Like, were you into racing just in general, or specifically the drag races?
My thing was just going to if it had a parachute, man, I was there, man. You know,
G.I. Joe complex.
Well, there was a motocross track there also, and now I guess they got drifting going on. I don't know, but the track closed down, like you were saying the other day, man. All these tracks closing down. And
is it closed now?
It's the drag racing is closed.
Oh, the drag. Yeah, I don't think they do the drag. My brother's son races.
Yeah.
And I don't think he races at that track, but they go to that track a lot.
Yeah.
Well, they do drifting and other stuff.
What is he driving, Steven, now? What's it called?
I forget what kind of car it is, but it's circle track.
Circle track.
Is it a?
I don't know.
Yeah, they don't
I don't know.
Have that there.
I'm horrible.
What part of I don't know don't you get?
But anyway, man, any kind of.
What kind of comments we got going on?
Yeah, I've got. Well, we have Jim Pollen joining us.
What's
Hobo's
up,
Hot Rod
Jim
Garage in
Pollen,
Horse Heads, New York. Prayers for Shaboom. Yes.
Did my man get better, man? Remember, somebody was ill a few weeks back.
I'm trying to remember who that was.
Somebody was ill, and I gave him a shout out. Get well soon.
There's been a
couple
couple people under the weather, so it could have been.
Well, still get well soon, man.
Yes, for sure. Rob Earl said, "I'm still feeling it from today, from 1979 when I walked behind the drag cars when they took off down the quarter mile like lightning."
Yeah.
So he's remembering. Matt Williams joining us.
What's up,
welcome.
Matt?
We've got George Maycard, the Glass Man 40 Mamba joining us.
What's up?
Sam Metro said, I always like the vintage custom style dragsters like the Glass Slipper, the Yellow Fang by Ed Roth, and the Piranha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the Yellow Fang didn't do much, but it was cool to see it. It ran out there. And you and I remember I had sent you a couple. There's been some good reels showing up on Instagram of old drag racing footage and stuff like that. And I hear supposedly they're supposed to be doing a Jungle Jim and Jungle Pam doc is supposed to be coming out.
Documentary.
Yeah, about those early days of drag racing with them. So that'd be cool.
I was just there when he was in the pits, man, and that dude was awesome, man. He never made us get out, peated kids.
Yeah.
He'd always we'd be right there, man. He'd say, man, we wanted to help some kind of way.
Right.
All right, take that jug and go get me some water or something. Fill it up at the spigot.
Wow.
He told me to do it. That kind of thing. Just in the pits as kids, man. I don't know where you get that kind of. It wasn't at home. You know what I mean? Because where we lived at, nobody was working on anything.
Right.
We went to the track and got exposure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, man, all of a sudden, man, when I grew up, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my mom I want to go 300 miles an hour at some point in my life. She's like, "Are you crazy? You're gonna kill yourself." I'm like, "Hey, when you see somebody else do something,
I know."
That was also
even if you get injured, man.
That was back in a time where people would take the time to be like, "Hey, kid, come on over here, take a look at this."
They'll show you things, man.
They're not doing it now.
That's the cool thing about drag racing is I feel out of all the sports, it is the one sport where there's still
they're family oriented, man.
They're definitely
when we went to the sportsmen, those are families out there.
Yep.
They got their wives out there.
If you're out,
kids,
if you show some interest, they're like, "Yeah, let me tell you about the car and let me show you the thing." And
racing is just knowing this from my brother and his son doing the racing. It's totally a family event. When we went to go watch my nephew race, it was just nothing but families there supporting their honestly, I think it's because of the money that's needed.
Well, yes, but
car running.
I mean, but you go, but then you pop back up to the pro times, and again, from what I've experienced, I've gone to indie stuff, here in St. Pete, and
I never made it there.
Some bigger race stuff, but the only people that still seem very available in the pits without having to do anything special is drag racing.
Yeah, I mean,
you can walk up to, there's a line you can't cross, but you can get pretty damn close to, and they're tearing engines down, and you can watch from start to finish. You could spend all day just hanging out in just that, not even watch the racing part, and it's super interesting.
Man, I'll tell you what. I include everybody, man, because I know them from looking at them for over the years.
Right.
So this one story, man, I was thinking about things to talk about. You said, all right, we're going to talk about. I'm like, I don't know what to talk about. But I remember Jimmy Walsh was crew chiefing for Tony Pedregon, and they were standing back at the front of the truck discussing something. And I was standing there by myself at the rope with this jacket with a Sharpie, and I was just standing there for 15 minutes. And Tony Pedregon said, "Hey, look, come on in here." So I went back there. I'm like, "Dude, can you sign my jacket, man?" He's like, "Sure." And I said, "I want yours too." And he was like, "Me?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Dude, you've been a crew chief working on people's cars." I don't know when he started, but he worked for Joe Amato and all those other guys, man. And who would not like to be acknowledged, man?
Right.
You know what I mean? I know you put oil under your fingernails, man. So Tony Pedregon said, "Look, now you've done it. now he's gonna want to raise because now he's feeling important. Like, oh man, sorry about that, dude.
Opened up a can of worms.
Yeah, but it was awesome, man. Hey, look, dude, I want your autograph too, man.
Right.
Because you
I was going to ask you when that jacket started. I thought maybe from a kid, but then I looked at the size of it and I'm like, nope, he wasn't 8 years old wearing that size jacket.
No, I got that thing. It might have been like 1988 or somewhere in there.
Wow.
That's still
That's still a long time ago.
Who we got on this?
Dude, I can't.
Some of your some of your favorites. I mean, obviously they're all
of these people on this jacket, man. They're no longer here. You know, but it's just something I said, man. Maybe they might want to hear about this thing, but it's got front and back on both sleeves. And I see people, I'm like, hey man, can you sign my jacket? And that was years ago. I just take it. If I see somebody, it's like, hey, you know. And my motorcycle helmet, I have it on there also, but it's zipped up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, it's just a lot of signatures, man.
Well, tell us a few that because they can't see it. So point out a couple. I mean, obviously, some of them are probably hard to.
Hey, here he is, right here, Jimmy Walsh. You know, you can make that a lot of stuff. Got Melanie Troxel on here. Chip King. Paul Smith.
What years of these you think that they were done?
Pat Musey.
Yeah, Pat Musey. They got Paul Lee on here.
Billy Torrance.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people, man.
Yeah, that's the tough part about signatures.
Yeah, it's so like how
did you get Don Perdone's?
Actually, no, man. There's a story about that. One day,
better than the.
Well, I got a drag race magazine with something. He was at Gainesville years ago, man, and he didn't qualify well. And he was walking by himself and down the sidewalk when I was coming out to go to my car. And I said, hey, Don, you mind if you give me a signature, man? And he was looking at me like, man,
last thing I want to do.
The last thing I want to do is sign something right now. And I said, don't worry about it, Don. Can I at least get a picture? And I still have that picture, man. He was looking, he didn't qualify well.
Right.
It was a bad day at the races that weekend.
Yeah.
And he was driving that Skoll dragster back then, man. And every time I see that picture, when I pull it out, man, it's like the moment
you remember
asking him to sign that thing and take a picture, but at least I got a picture. But he was not happy, man. And I get it.
Oh, yeah.
You understand?
That's almost a better story than had he signed the jacket.
Well, there's some other
ones. The only person that'll know that is by this kid that was dejected because I was horrified that he said, you know, the way he was looking, it was like, man, can you just give me a break?
I mean, the fact that he even at least he acknowledged your existence, which is cool.
It's like, dude, no heart, man. Dude, move on, man.
I get it.
Fix your issue.
Listen, you suck today. I get it.
These guys are under pressure, man. You gotta perform.
Yeah.
You don't go there to do bad. And that's just the thing, you know, nobody wants to go do anything bad.
Which think about that, the like you said, the pressures of that. So you show up in your big hauler and you got your car and you got 3 cars in
all that money invested.
All that money,
man. You gotta,
and then you go and you everything's good and you get it to the line.
Crappy day,
and that thing turns green and you mash the go and boom, it just blows
matter
up
what
on
he
you.
did that day, the thing would not go. And I don't know, but you lose it.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at the thing, man, all of a sudden a crew chief is fired.
Yeah.
A new crew chief is in there. You know, it's like, man, you just,
especially for these guys that are used to winning.
When you're on top, man,
like
it's hard
top
to stay
performers.
there.
Yeah. Do you have John Force's signature on there?
Somewhere on there. I got his when he came to Bradenton because he remembered this story. He's like, man, and I showed him the magazine that he signed it in. He's like, man, I signed that down in Bradenton. See, people don't know, man, down in Bradenton, man, in the mid 80s, and that was the race, man. I mean, you had people come down to the snowbirds from all around the country when it was iced and snowed in, they'll come down there.
Right.
But see, the cold down here, man, 40 degrees is cold to us.
Right.
These cats are walking around in shorts
t-shirts,
and t-shirts, man. It's like, man,
This car's going to hook up today.
Yeah, and it's like it didn't affect them because they were from the ice wherever they just came from. You know what I mean?
It's a summer day down here.
Yeah, so they're down there, man. 8 cars, man. It was just an 8-car qualifying field, and they had like 29, 30 cars.
Wow,
all out through there, man. People that you didn't go to national events, but they came to the snowbirds.
Right.
And when you say Bradenton, is it Bradenton Motorsport, like the same park?
Yeah, that was back when I think Art Malone owned it back then. It changed hands, but back then they really had, there were some people that came from like Washington State, or like Rocky Epperly and all those guys out there would come down here.
We have yet to make it to that. Did you go? Have you been to that one?
What?
Bradenton. Where'd you go with my brother?
I want to say it was Bradenton.
Okay,
but
so maybe you've gone.
I didn't go to the drag races though.
No, not the drag.
Still roundy round.
Yeah. Well, it was in the back there. They had the figure 8. They used to run the smash up derby back there. Back in the day.
Fun.
Yeah.
But now this
neat place though.
This the YouTuber guy, he bought it.
Right. Yeah.
Now they do whatever they do down there.
Whatever
Are they still doing the drags there then, or no?
Yeah, the track is there.
Yep.
I mean, they just had something in February, the pro shootout.
Well, remember they had that nostalgic drag racing deal over there too.
Right. I do remember him
it was
saying
like
something.
Inverness or as you're heading towards Orlando, and they shut that down.
Well, like I say, man, I just with the topic, you know what I mean? It's just fun reaching back, thinking about stuff that.
So what was the initial as a kid? Was it the people? Was it the car? How they looked? Was it the sound?
Dude,
was
everything had a
The
persona, man.
speed.
Because I just remember if nobody else came there that night, man, we always saw Dino Don Nicholson and Bill Grumpy Jenkins, man, the Grumpy's toy car and Dino Don. Man, they would like race like 6 or 7 or 8 times, match racing all night long on Wednesday nights, man. There's just, they'd go cool the engines and turn around and go back. But they were racing 4 speeds with the clutch.
Right.
You understand? I mean, not no push automatic line lock stuff right now, man. They're just you grabbing gears.
Right.
And they were doing that every Wednesday for money?
Probably
they had a
side
purse.
bets and stuff.
They had a purse. They'd pay them to come race.
Yeah.
But still
fuel must have been way cheaper back then.
Well,
listen, I was a kid. I wasn't buying any fuel.
Yeah.
I was just there on my bicycle,
Right.
and I remember witnessing things. You know what I mean?
Fuel was cheaper, but they were we're
Still an expensive hobby.
different for sure.
But still, then again, like I say, it was family.
Right.
Guys doing stuff back then.
A lot of those guys, they either owned a speed shop or someone owned a speed shop, and they would sponsor them, and they were getting money, or they're just motor guys that were like, I'm gonna build the fastest thing you ever seen, and that's kind of a way a lot of the street racing stuff happens now. It's people that are already doing it.
And it's funny to me because when we went, I was like, oh, there's these big trailers, and they had like 3-4 trailers worth of stuff for one racing team. And I'm like, what are they possibly carrying? And you're like, they have like 5 other cars as backups.
Well, and think about
now those things right there, it's commercial now, man. You got hospitality going on.
Yeah.
You got one truck is hospitality, and another truck
entertain
the fans and
the sponsors,
the higher ups for sure.
And that was the thing, trying to make the thing a professional thing back in the day, because it was not professional at all. There was no portalets out there.
But do you think it was more fun then?
We weren't thinking about that.
Yeah.
Where to use the bathroom.
Right.
But corporate people were used to air conditioners and being prettied up. You know what I mean? We were just out there in the heat.
Yeah.
Dirty. You're just out in this place with engines and cars and noise, and that was just fine with the world. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but when corporate came in, they had to clean up the act.
Yeah.
No more. I want it. No more
backup girls.
Stuff.
Backup girls went away.
All that, man. No more.
Mm-hmm.
You got to clean it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
No more guy
commercial now.
Nobody got no guys banging 2 girls in the
Dude,
truck and
the commentators, man, they wear suits and ties.
Yeah.
They
wait a
just
minute.
went from G to PG.
well,
13.
and think about this: when you went to the drag races and you experienced what you did, think of all the food options that you had and drink options and how many
pretzels, kettle corn,
listen,
and lemonade. Pretzels, kettle corn, and
the early
lemonade.
days,
there was no
bring
reading the label to see if it's healthy or not. You just had something to eat.
There were no salads.
If there was a hot dog stand, you might be lucky, and you had to bring your own beer probably to most of it. So
sauerkraut and relish.
Yep,
loaded up,
and half the drivers were all loaded up too. So
it
back when
definitely
it was fun.
It was still fun. I did enjoy going, and I would probably definitely go again. It is thrilling to watch. It's scary, and I think that's part of the excitement for me, which was like, okay, at any moment this thing could burst into flames. Yeah,
that's why everybody goes.
But here's the thing, though, not to cut you off. I don't care if you're doing 40 mile an hour, you can get killed.
Yeah, oh, sure,
but
sure.
I never went to see something happen.
No,
but I've seen things happen.
Yeah,
and I've seen
tragic.
It's just it's such
somebody
a
get
thrill.
killed, man. It's like, oh man,
it's such a thrill. What do you? How fast are the cars going? It's like 0 to what in how many seconds? Do you think?
Well, the lady just set the world record, man. 340 over 341 mile an hour.
Oh, really?
A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
In a minute? No.
In a minute.
In 1,000 feet.
Oh, so how many seconds is that? Like 3 seconds?
Well, it's a record. She didn't set the time elapsed time.
Here,
the other guy
I'll look it up because it just happened.
But she just shattered the thing, man.
I believe it was
1,000 feet.
Brittany Force, right?
That's getting it done.
That's right. Yeah. You did say something about that.
But
okay, Brittany Force now holds the top fuel speed record for 341.59 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's
going 4 wide, by the way, too.
What's 4 wide?
They had four drag top fuel cars take off at the same time.
Oh wow!
She top speed was 302.
And the
eighth mile was at 302.
Yeah, you go 300 at the eighth, man. It's
so
if your engine is staying together, you're lucky.
Before that, the record was 338 miles an hour.
So she beat it by 3.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's hard to get a mile an hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you get anything over 300 mile an hour, you can't.
And again, the cool thing is
you can't whiz on that. That's fast.
That's a force.
You know, but
yeah,
still making it happen.
To try to find 4 mile per hour, man, it'll probably take you 2 years.
Yeah.
And what do you think is accounting for that? Are they just making the engine stronger? Is the gas?
It's all of it.
You got to put
weather.
That's why crew chiefs get let go, fired, because your tune up is.
Yeah.
You got to get off the line. The ET, you got to make it move from start to finish. Every place in every increment down the track has got to do something spectacular.
Yep.
Hmm.
And it's hard to duplicate because as the day goes on, the track changes.
Yep.
Yeah.
The temperature and everything.
Grip changes, lane choices.
Somebody might oil it down. You got to clean that up. They re-prep it.
And it may not be as sticky as it was before, or too sticky, or
all factors are.
Yep.
What I normally say, hey, look, you made a good mistake, and it's awesome, because they'll say, well, what were you planning on running? And they'll say, well, this is exactly what I was trying to do. And it's like I like the honest answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were just trying to run like a low 80, and the thing jumped up and went a 68. More than you expected, because it's hard to duplicate.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you never know what it's going to do twice.
Yeah.
That's why you got to be looking.
Yeah. And they're tearing the engines down every other run or every run, and looking at stuff and checking stuff. And so there's a lot of, you could have your first run, the motor set up a certain way. And then the second time you run, everything's been set up identical to what the first setup was, and it don't run the same.
You know what's awesome, man? Last year I was down in Bradenton. They were running top fuelers, and this guy was there with his girlfriend. First race ever, she was there, and I was on the fence doing my video. And he was asking me some questions. I was like, yeah, whatever. And the conversation went to where I said, man, I was back here in the early 80s, man, and I saw the guy's name was Richard Holcomb, and he went over the top of the scoreboard, flipping end over end. He did back then they called it a blowover.
Right.
The thing was up in the air, and there's two guys down the fence heard me talking. And the guy came over to me. He's like, hey, man, what did you just say? I said, what do you mean? He said, you were here when Richard Holcomb did that?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah. And he went and tapped this other guy. That was his brother. They were the two guys that was working on the bottom end on the engine on that car that day.
Huh. Wow.
And he heard me saying that, and he came over and said, hey, man, we were the people that worked on the engine for him that day.
That's nuts.
I didn't know that.
Right,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
But he came and said, yeah, man, the whole car went in the garbage can after that day. And the guy mortgaged his house, was trying to find money. But the one thing that stuck with me, and I told him, I said, man, on the front of his wing right here, it said, I'm serious. That's all you need to say. When he showed up to the track, he was serious.
Right.
When he was running that car, and it was gonna be set on kill. Right. That's what he came to do, was come in there and win.
Right.
One way or another.
Come in there with a t-shirt on, say I'm serious. You better want to pay attention to this guy. You know what I mean? Because that's not something to say lightly.
Right.
He ain't playing games. And he did it to the fullest, and it was all or nothing, and the car was destroyed.
Yeah.
Rob Earl wants to know, do you think someone will crack 350 miles an hour or more?
I think it's possible.
In my lifetime?
I think it's
How
possible.
many more years do I got left? Like I said, it's hard to get 2 miles an hour.
I mean, yeah.
In 1,000 foot, they're waving it off, man, but 8 miles an hour don't seem like a lot.
I think it's possible.
But if they do, man, you talking about the rules changing, because I don't know what insurance company out there will think that it's. I mean, I'm not gonna say that, man. I mean,
it's already high risk.
Yeah, I mean, what is
already high risk?
What is 8 more miles an hour?
Going 100 miles an hour is high risk.
You need to lower the rates for the guy, just for the entertainment value.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's possible.
Yeah, everything's possible. I wish they do.
Yeah.
But you might have to raise the percentage of something, nitro, gearing, something. I don't know.
Well, that's why I was wondering if there was any modifications that has caused the.
Well, they're already turning the engines off at a certain RPM
right.
down the track. They got the thing set. It's a limiter where the thing won't. Listen, I'm not the expert. I just.
You know a lot.
There's
out of the three of us.
This is all motors.
They won't let the thing zip and rip like it should. Yeah. It's governed down. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why they went shorter track than the long track.
Yeah, I mean,
they're trying to keep it. They're trying to keep the speeds down, and then it's only they just keep getting faster.
How long was the long track? Half mile?
1320.
So that's still about a quarter.
A quarter.
Yeah.
And now it's just an eighth.
They shut 320 off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
And you're still running the same speeds. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but so the longevity of the track, they had to keep that speed for a longer period of time. Now
it took them that long to get that speed back.
Oh,
from when they went 320 less feet.
Gotcha.
So now the technology has been caught back up to it.
Yeah.
Huh.
But what they want to do though too is limit the explosions and the cleanup time on the track, because see that's the
longer track. It took longer to clean.
Nah, not really that. It's a drag when you have TV time and you're waiting on them to clean it up. You can't. You get penalized.
It's all about the ratings.
Yeah, nobody wants to see the thing getting cleaned up. You want to see action.
Yeah,
and you get rewarded for running a clean.
And as a
non-exploding vehicle,
as a fan, you watch. That's why they try to do other stuff during the time that they're cleaning stuff up. But
You call it TV time.
Let it run, man. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is gonna expect.
That's why I go on Fridays, man. You say,
I know.
why you want to go on Fridays?
Why would
I'm
you want
like,
to go on the
dude,
last day?
everybody runs on Fridays, man, to try to get in the show, and everybody that came there is making an attempt, even if it's their first worst attempt. It's gonna be on Friday or Friday night.
Yeah,
it's gonna be either go or blow. And you're gonna be able to see it, witness something coming apart. I mean, hopefully it don't, and nobody will get hurt. But
so Friday's the night to go. So
the first time when everybody hit the track. Yeah.
We've got Cam McNulty joining us. Hey, guys. Sorry I'm late.
No, you're good.
Love you. And Shaggy LeBlanc. Hi from Detroit.
Detroit Rock City.
Yeah, he likes to go fast.
Yes, he does. It's another guy would be cool for you to
put a parachute on your back, man.
He's got one.
Yeah, he does.
He's got one on his car, too.
Wear the safety shooter in your flak jacket.
He's not about safety.
No, he ain't.
All right.
He is, but he's not.
For other people, yes. For himself,
crazily safe.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. What fun. Well, we are at 1025. I don't know if we want to do some maybe if anybody has any questions, you can shout those out. If you want to
question.
It could be non-drag racing.
Yeah, it could be non.
We
spent the whole hour talking about drag racing.
That's pretty cool.
You see how it went? But then I can say, how me and my brother grew up, man. We had this truck. It was an old milk truck, and it had no gas tank. I used to stand on the rails of the vehicle, holding on one hand, holding a jug of gas in this hand with the hose going in the
thing. For crying out loud.
Would drive, and I was asking him, like, hey, man, remember that milk truck you used to have? He's like, yeah. I said, man, I'm looking at the drive shaft. If I would have slipped off, listen, man, I had it, though. I had one hand on it. And I say, hey, man, come off the gas pedal, man, because this thing is thirsty. We'll get to a hill, and he'll come off the thing and knock it in neutral and coast down. Because we had 3 gallons of gas, and we had to get where we were heading, and that's all the gas we had. You know what I mean? Holding the jug, and he'd
ingenuity.
And give me another jug, and I take that one out before the engine would die, and put the thing back in, and the fuel pump would pick it back up, and we're still going down the highway.
That's crazy.
What safety?
It worked.
Yeah, what safety?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be.
Did anybody have a driver's license?
You don't have to be stock, man. There's nothing stock. You just make it happen.
That's
man.
Right.
Those are the kind of people that get things done.
Hey, when I told Johnny, man, ladies and gentlemen, my ball joint on my van.
Oh man,
exploded on me last Thursday. I thought my front tire went popped, but I get out, my tire is up into my fender well.
Oh boy.
The ball joint came out of the socket, lower ball joint. The tow truck came, and the tow truck driver's like, man, I get vehicles like this all the time. I'm like, dude, I haven't changed this ball joint in 25 years.
Right.
But I didn't know
is that a normal thing to change out?
When it wears out, but I didn't know it was wore out.
Yeah, usually you get some signs.
You get some slop, but for the last like 3 months, I would hear like a thunk. But I just did my brakes 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, man, I don't see anything wrong. But normally, what you'll do, you have somebody in the van when you have it jacked up, and you use a pry bar and you try to see what's loose. But man, I was luckily though, I had just got done doing 70 miles an hour on the highway. With 30 bags of 60-pound concrete in my trailer. And I was at a stoplight, and luckily I was turning left, and I was just pulling off, and that's when the thing
it could have been way worse.
Yeah. Woof! So that's what I've been fixing on that thing the last few nights, pulling all-nighters, but I got it all put back together, and I'm ready to go. I can make some more money.
Well, and some of you may remember Art's first visit on our podcast that was called The 51 several years ago. The highlight of that podcast was your truck project. Which how often are you driving that now?
I pulled it back out.
Did you?
Yeah.
But I took it for a drive. Man, I went to this car wash up there on Gun Highway. Man, I fed like $16 in that car wash. Went up to the Shell station, filled up the tank, Went home. Next morning, I look out there. The thing looks as dirty as it was. I mean, the
you
car
got
wash
trees in your yard,
the
dude.
car
You got
wash
to
didn't do
cover it.
anything.
Yeah.
What's the year, make, and model on that? Remind everyone.
A 66 C30.
Oof. This thing is beautiful, guys.
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
cool.
Yeah, it's if you fix it one time, you got to fix it again because stuff sitting outside is ungodly, man. It's outdoors just kills stuff.
Well, and from what I hear, projects are never quite complete.
Well,
so.
I mean, what's horrifying is how good it was looking.
Yeah.
I found some bubbling spots on it and I ground them off. You know, I'm like, man, this is dejecting, man. But I got a tool now that I had for the last couple of years. I was telling you about it. Remember I told you?
Right.
That Dylan torch.
Yeah.
Dude, that thing is amazing, man.
Yeah.
Everybody check out a Dylan torch or a Cobra torch. It's 4 pounds PSI oxygen, 4 pounds acetylene, and it'll weld anything. And I should have bought one of them things 30 years ago, but they're $600 or $700.
Right.
You can look it up, man. Or if I give you a plug to the Instagram, you can see mine in action.
Yeah,
go for it.
Sure.
I ain't gonna do a plug, man.
No,
what's your
why not?
close cut?
No, the Concept Electric.
Oh, Concept Electric
Yeah,
go
on
for it.
Instagram.
Man.
Art is a jack of all trades.
He does everything.
Master of many.
And you can see that ball joint that I
Owner
just
of many
fixed.
tools.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, all I got to do is get it to where I can work on it, man. It's gonna get done.
Yeah, we need to get you to bring your truck over and we need to do a YouTube thing on it.
Or like an on-site, like the two of you
Well,
out in
we
the
just need
garage.
we need to get
doing some
drive it over here
welding and stuff.
When you want it over here, it's ready
Yeah.
to go. Got a full tank of gas.
I've never
I just
been
built-
for a
I just
ride
built-
in it.
Remember, we went across the street. Remember?
Yeah, you
I
did.
did.
You did.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Did I? Oh,
Well,
maybe I did. I don't
remember we went
remember.
across the street.
No, I don't
we
remember.
went across back in the neighborhood back there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
No,
turned
I
around
don't
and came
remember.
back. That's when it was fresh.
In fact, that's
That might
exactly
have
what
been.
you said was, when am I going to get to go for a ride? And Art said, let's go. And you went.
Hey, man.
Short
Next time,
I'm always asking.
next time you're gonna drive it though.
Yeah. I'm still trying to get her to drive the Model A.
Is it it's a 3-speed?
Stick shift.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can do stick as long as it's.
You didn't do the bug yet.
I've
Or-
driven the bug.
You did the bug.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Or the
awesome.
Model A.
Model A is a little different.
Why is it different?
There's too many things
There's
to
no-
know. Yes,
Not
You,
now.
you did the bug.
I've driven the bug. Yes,
All right, awesome. So
Yeah,
you
I
can
know
do
how to
that.
drive.
not,
stick.
not since.
it's been a while. Our stick shift in that is very hard to get into gear
Which one?
in the bug.
It's hard to get synchronized.
Yeah,
There's no
Going to
synchro.
what?
yeah.
No synchro on that one either.
No synchro.
You really got to jam it into gear.
You don't.
Well,
You
sit
just
there.
don't know how to drive it.
Jam it in.
That's
I
what she,
haven't
that's
been.
what she said.
Oh, Rob
If you say what you got to do it. You
Yeah.
know. Put it
Rob
in.
Earl said
Meh,
tonight's
meh.
broadcast has been great. Art stories and connections to the drag world. I've enjoyed hearing.
Ah,
Cheers,
awesome.
Art.
Hey man, I appreciate
Thank you
that,
for the
man.
feedback. Thank you for the
You
feedback.
know,
Yeah, Art is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to drag racing and again the stories from being a kid and all the
The
things
stories.
that you
all I can tell you is when my customers call me when they have things broken, I'm the guy that's supposed to fix it, and I've never not fixed it. And I would always ask significant others, man, have I ever came home and said I wasn't able to fix anything? And they said no. So apparently, I guess
He
I'm doing
does it all.
something right.
That's right.
I don't get
You are.
callbacks.
saw. Hey,
You're a hard worker and you're a
before
phenomenal
we
friend.
go, tell us just to tell the folks out there again, as big a fan as you are, tell the story about the gentleman that you came across and went and visited, and
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about. He ended up passing
The
away.
drag racer guy.
Yeah, great story. And again, another as Art's telling me the story, I'm like, this is why I really this guy is why I enjoy being his friend, because of selfless person. Go
All
ahead.
right. Do we have time to take it from the top?
Go for it.
yeah.
And this is the thing, man.
I'll try not to interrupt.
You can interrupt. I have a mentor, the guy, when I first got into electrical, nobody would explain anything to me. And I'm the kind of guy, look, man, I don't want to just be working on something and not know what I'm doing.
Right.
Right.
So he said, well, what's the problem? We was at lunch one day. I said, man, nobody in this whole company can explain how this 3-way, 4-way system works. He was like, man, is that your problem? I said, yeah. I mean, apparently it must be complicated. He said, Art, man, I'm going to show you this system one time and you're never going to forget it for the rest of your life. I'm like, Ed, what are you talking about? And his daughter is going to see this because I told her the story before.
Right.
And he's still living, and I tell him and his wife the story. You tell people stuff before they're no longer here. So this is a split thing. This is where I learned electrical from because I was going to quit. He showed me how the 3-way, 4-way system works. And once I looked at it, I was like, man, that's why nobody else can explain this. And he's like, well, maybe they don't know how it works. Yeah. You can do things and not understand it.
Sure.
If you're doing it every day, but you don't know how it's working. So that was all my thing, man, is if I work on something, I want to be able to tell somebody what it is I'm doing and why.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But that's not the story that Johnny was just talking about. What he was talking about, that's 2 mentors. This other guy was a drag racer. Name drop, man, Mr. Denny Savage. When I was a kid in Englishtown, he used to drive this Power Still funny car, man. This car is awesome, man. And I was at the guy that I was just mentioning, I was at his house up there in Citrus Springs, Florida. And I was looking at a headline and they said Denny Savage is in a nursing home in Citrus Springs. And I was like, man, that's where I'm at right now. So I Googled it and the thing was right in the neighborhood, like 2 blocks over.
Wow.
So I called over there. I said, hey, by any chance, is Mr. Denny Savage there? And the lady answered the phone. She said, yes. I said, do you think he can have any visitors? And she was like, sure, he'll love that. And I was like, well, I'll be over there in a minute. So I went over there and I called in and she said, well, come on in. And he came out. And I told him, I said, hey, man, I used to watch you race, man, when I was a kid, man, in Englishtown, man. And dude, you were tough. He was like, hey, man, you know, I've been on fire from the East Coast to the West Coast driving these things. And he was like, he told me, he said, do you smoke? I said, no, I don't smoke. He's like, good, don't start. But I didn't know why he was in the nursing home. But apparently, he was ill with some sickness, man. That's why he was in the home. And the girl told me, he's like, man, nobody comes to see him. I was like, man,
guy's a legend.
And
right,
been racing all his life, man, and nobody came to see him ever. And dude, when I was there, you saw the picture.
Yeah.
The guy started crying, man, because I came to see him.
Somebody remembered him.
And his body of work.
Right.
And he had his one trophy that he won with, which was the Summer Nationals. I forget what year it was. And he told a girl to go to his room and get it. He came back out. I was standing with him holding his trophy.
That's so cool.
You know, and not long after that, he ended up passing away. But, you know, Mr. Denny Savage, man, you know, drag racer, man. And you can hear it in my voice, man. My hat's off to the guy.
Yeah.
And like I said, when you're a kid, man, you see people do stuff, you know, and I remember him. And I told him, I said, Mister, you don't know me from nobody, but I know you.
Yeah.
You understand? And
did you ever get a chance to go up to his you know, the area where he was at when you were a kid at all? Or you just
no, I just saw him
one of those guys that you just from afar.
No, I saw him at the track in the pits and stuff,
Right.
but you know, we were kids.
Right.
Yeah.
But all these years later, man, I was giving him his props, man, because
But you knew who he was all throughout the time you've been following drag racing.
Yeah.
You're like, I know that guy.
but I never, when I heard that he was in the nursing home.
Right.
So long story short, man, I think one of his sisters had put the article in there that was in the paper that he was in the nursing home. That's when I saw the article, and I just put it all together and just called that nursing home to see where he was at, if he was actually there. And she said yes. That's when I showed you that photo.
Yeah, and all I could think of is here's this guy who's followed his passion and put his whole everything into this
racing
life.
His whole life, man, and
right?
Nobody came to see him.
And I'm sure in his mind he was going to go out in the blaze of glory type of thing. You know what I mean? Doing what he loved, and here that doesn't always happen.
Right.
Which is good. Which
a
is
lot
good.
of times, man, you don't get accolades when you're doing something, but people see you, man. Right. But it's not for the money. It's not a money thing. You're doing it because, hey, man, I like driving this car.
Yeah.
And people would tell me, hey, man, I grew up always wanting a motorcycle. And, man, when I was able to buy one, there's no turning back. I got messed up on the motorcycles a lot, man. But, hey, I always say if I crash one, I don't want it. I want another one because I don't trust the wells on it. Right. It slams to the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm never going to stop riding because as a kid, man, I saw other people with motorcycles, and dude, I wasn't able to have one.
Right.
My cousins had mini bikes, man. I would go to their house, man, and say, hey, man, let me ride. Nah, man, they won't. Mom and dad said you can't ride. I'm like, come on, man.
Everybody else
and you made it your life goal.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna get me a mini bike, motorcycle, whatever I want, man. And because somebody else can't tell me no, I can't ride because I got one. I can ride it whenever I want. You know what I'm saying? And that's the mentality, man. Get your own, and nobody can tell you what to do with it because it's yours.
Yep.
So the message I'm getting is live for today.
Hey,
and celebrate people who were influential in your life.
If you get an opportunity, for sure.
I didn't know that I was going to move this guy like I moved him.
Yeah, but
we never know the impact we make.
Listen, I appreciate every decision I made to go in there and find that guy, because that might have gave him 2 more weeks
for sure. And that's what I'm saying.
You understand? That might have gave him 2 more weeks, man.
Imagine that guy just thinking in his room, he's like, do you understand I was a monster of the drag strip, and
none
here
of those people in that nursing home knew who he was.
Idea.
And I was telling them, hey, man, do y'all know who this is?
There's a freaking legend.
Like, he just lives over in this room over here.
Yep.
213.
This is how I feel when I go into a restaurant and no one knows who Itty B is.
Right. Well,
and I'm like, come on, guys.
Catch
up.
How is that possible?
Get up to speed here.
Right. No, in fact, the other day you were like, do you know who?
No ovations at all?
I don't think you know who I am.
Yeah, it's like, man, I'm just blessed to be on this podcast, man. When y'all ask me, man, nobody don't know who I am, man. It's like, hey, you know what I mean?
They're gonna know now.
But that's fine, and I appreciate everybody, man, because you never know who's looking. But I don't do things to like make us, make a mark or anything. I just do things that if I can't do it I got to be able to tell my nieces and nephews that they can do something. You know what I mean? If I
be the role model.
You know what I'm saying?
You are a doer for sure.
Well, I will tell you this: you may not set out every day to leave your mark in this world, but you're doing it.
Yeah.
People that you help, you're in a service industry. All the people that you help and repair electrical stuff for.
I think I try to help this guy.
We need your help. We need your help now.
I give him a boost when he think that I'm not boosting him. I'm like, Johnny, you can do this, man.
You were the silent partner during the Kona build.
I'm like, Johnny, there's only 3 wires to this headlight system.
Yeah.
What's got you going, man? He's like, man, I just can't. It's not clicking. I'm like, Johnny.
That was the worst.
It's not clicking. I'm
I
like,
just could not get like that's that 3-phase, 4-phase thing. You were like, well, I don't understand why nobody can understand this. And then once you showed me, I was like, that was too easy.
Yeah.
Because
what's it like to have somebody just explain something to you in plain English, man?
It's awesome.
Blow your brain down. So you
I would never know because I'm married to this man.
Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
That's not true.
He just tells me to do it. He doesn't explain anything.
Oh, yeah. Like you're supposed to know already.
I'm just like, get out of my way.
Oh, Rob Earl just said you're known of Down Under now.
Oh,
nice.
Under.
In the Hunter Valley,
man.
Australia. They know who Art Smith is.
Really?
Yeah.
They do now.
I appreciate that, man.
Good on ya.
Tell everybody down there to check me out. Nobody knows me, but I'm coming soon.
Listen, it's really cool. All the stuff that you do. And again, I'm very grateful for our friendship, and
hey, you my guy, man. I mean,
and you know, I still won't forget, you know, how we met, and yeah, you've just always been so kind to me and courteous to me, and I appreciate you too.
Yeah, man. Hey, I tell him, I said, what are you doing in this store? You're not in California? And that's a story he gets from like everybody, man.
It just happened last week.
What are you doing here?
There was a guy there was an older gentleman came in shopping at my store, and he's like, you look familiar. I'm like, yeah, probably TV. And I walked him over there, and he looked at me funny, like, TV? Why would I know you from TV?
Oh,
so
man.
I walked him a little bit, and I'm like, yeah, you know,
I know you're that guy.
no, it's still
What'd
nothing.
he say?
And his buddy was laughing. Yeah, TV. Either one of you probably was on TV. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I help him and I show him some stuff, and I walk him all the way up to the front row, and he's still looking at me like, I know you from somewhere.
Man, awesome.
And I'm like, okay. So it's a little silent, and I go, hey, you ever watched a TV show called Full Custom Garage? He goes, yeah. It's still nothing. I'm like, you know,
He's drawing a blank, man.
Ian Russell, right? And he's like, yo, I watched every episode. I'm like, you ever watched the one episode where they built that blue Volkswagen thing? Yeah, that was a great episode. And then I said, and I still don't. You're still not sure where you know me from?
Yeah,
and then he goes.
man.
Then the eyes went. Brrr.
Yeah, it hit.
Holy cow! What are you doing here?
That's awesome, though, man. When it
So
when it
funny.
finally hits,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Oh, it's funny to watch. It happens all the time.
It's not great on my end, because every one of them always is very like, well, your life didn't go how it's supposed to go.
oh man, don't get that. Let that get you down.
That's
I
not
thought-
true.
But I always
you
tell
were
him when
on
we go someplace,
television.
Johnny, man, look, get your Sharpies. He's
So
like,
funny.
man, we don't need
Always
all
be
that."
prepared. Get your stickers, get your Sharpies. We're doing photo ops, we're doing signatures.
Yeah,
Never
man.
happens.
Hey, I be the on the spot photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all,
So
man.
funny.
Yeah, we've had a blast tonight, guys. Thank you for tuning in and hearing the silliness and the stories.
Yeah,
and
thanks for hanging out with us another Monday night in the books.
Let them know if you want to have me back again, because there's more to come.
Yeah,
if you want to
Listen,
hear
I don't-
some more,
ton more
I told him,
stories.
man, we
I
can
don't
write a
need-
book.
I don't need no permission to get you on my own show.
Hey, I told
You gotta
Johnny,
talk
man,
to me.
we can write a book.
I'm the
Are we
booker.
good?
You the booker?
I'm the booking
All right.
for our
She's
So-
more of a booger.
I need you to be my agent also.
Ooh, I got paid
Yeah.
twice.
Oh man, awesome.
No one said anything about payment.
I
Yeah.
appreciate
All right.
y'all.
We love you guys. Thank you. Have a great week.
Hey, don't
and
forget to head over to the website, Johnny Jalopy Hot Rod Art. We've got hats. Well,
it's
no,
just
we don't.
JohnnyJalopy.com.
We've got lots of art available. We've got t-shirts available. Head on over there. We'd sure appreciate you visiting the website, checking it out. Again, if you find art on Instagram, find them.
Concept
if you wanna-
Electric.
Concept Electric
Ink.
Yeah.
on Instagram, constantly sharing all kinds of different projects he's working on
Yeah.
and things he's
I do
doing.
different stuff. Fix this and fix
That's
that.
super cool.
Man.
Many horror stories and horror shows that he shows. He's like, you're not going to believe what I'm going to show you now. And then it's some electrical panel that you're like, oh God, I hope fix that art.
Spectacular, but I can pull it off.
Yep.
All right, guys. We will see you next week.
Have a super Monday night. The rest of your stinky de Mayo, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a super week.
All right.
Stay.
Oh, and as always, stay sketchy. We'll
Stay
see you
sketchy.
guys.
Bye.